horny intuitives. Been a few days, I know, but holidays for me just mean that had to work it. At least I got holiday pay, so I've gotten a little behind on videos I wanted to do. But don't worry, I'm gonna get this one out before I have to be at work today. And please like and subscribe, help the channel grow, help me get over that 1,000 subscriber threshold where maybe the algorithm will, treat me like a nobody instead of a super nobody. I don't have fancy bells and whistles or anything on this channel. It's me talking into a tablet badly and trying vainly not to sound like a stumbling, stuttering mess and like I might have something of value to say. I don't do this for views and likes. I do it to get the information out. So, this channel is raw and uncut and authentic. So, video I wanted to do today is types of people that an INFJ cannot tolerate. And, I've touched on some of these before, but I never put them together, and I'm going to expand on some of the different types of people. You can probably guess a couple of them. So, without further ado, we're going to start. The first one is confrontational people. Now, INFJs are typically adverse to conflict, but we can be confrontational when it requires it. If we're protecting somebody, preventing somebody from being exploited, taken advantage of, calling out a narcissist. But in terms of how we can't stand confrontational people, I mean confrontational people that always think they're right, that makes everything a conflict, the one-upper, and most importantly, the person who bases their rightness, and asserts it on, I just know. They just, by definition, think they know more than everybody and are smarter and better than everybody simply because who they are. And while not necessarily, this tends to go hand in hand depending on how much wealth that person has, although they will often exaggerate their actual wealth in order to seem more important because they simply tie money with intelligence, which is simply not true. Just because somebody is wealthy doesn't mean their intelligence. There's, factors like nepotism, cronyism, old boys clubs. The big one in the English-speaking world is inherited money, Just because somebody's grandfather may have been fairly intelligent and in the right place at the right time and started a business in the 50s does not mean 70-some years later that his grandson is, by definition, intelligent. No, said grandson is just lucky his grandfather was born before him. So you have those factors, and especially in, certain fields like the government or the entertainment industry or financial industry. So, yes, a lot of that in DC, LA, and New York. Another big one that we can't stand, and this was the bane of my existence in the time in the mid-2000s when I was in the modeling industry, shallow and superficial interactions. So, INFJs, as I've said before, we tolerate people who are willing to go deep, people who are willing to be vulnerable yet not judgmental, people that truly want to get to know us and understand us and will be their true selves around us. So the idea of a large circle of superficial, shallow acquaintances just doesn't appeal to us. We're just not, that's draining for us. That's inauthentic. It's draining on our ability to be extroverted, which works like a battery, and we just don't see the point in it. These are people that we may necessarily have nothing against other than that we just don't want to interact with them. I'm going through this at work now. I've had a couple offers to be a few university students. They want me to be their summer fling, and it's not happening, but the offers are there. Unnecessary people that are unnecessarily negative all the time, like people, histrionics. My mother's a lot like this. Like, people that any little thing makes, to them, because it happens to them, it's a life-altering thing, and the news media should be here, and there should be GoFundMe's. And for example, like someone who's worth, I don't know, just under $1 million. acting like it's the end of the world and they're going broke because their 30-year-old garage door opener broke and that's going to cost them $200. Yeah, something akin to that. That's a direct example. Or their mirror on their car fell off and that's going to be $150 because anything that happens to them, particularly if they're a baby boomer, it's a sin and they shouldn't feel an ounce of pain because they're them. They'll compare a $200 30-year-old garage door opener breaking to, say, a lesser person like me having their dream job stolen from them. That's equal to them because what happened to them, it happened to them. Now, my biggest one, the next one, and this is my big one because me and this group of people do not get along at all, and I will and have resort to physical violence with this type of person when, it's necessary, particularly when I was younger, when I was, not as skilled with calling somebody out. I was, my resolve would more be like, well, I guess I gotta fight him. And that, of course, is manipulators and exploiters. As INFJs, we don't value fame, money, and status. We value purpose. That's why a lot of us become humanitarians, and we want to make the world a better place and try to create some semblance of peace. We do not understand and absolutely abhor those that use other people, exploit them, manipulate them, use coercive control in order to get them to do things they're not comfortable with or things that are just blatantly illegal and unsafe in order to make the exploiter, the manipulator, money. So this is especially true amongst people who exploit others and manipulate others. A lot of them, in my experience, feel as if the rules don't apply to them and, that they can do whatever they want to whomever they want with no repercussions because many of these people have money, fame, and status. And they can, simply throw a little money at something. It all goes away, especially if they're exploiting and manipulating people who, don't have money, fame, and status, but a lot of times have youth and beauty, and they will exploit them, promising them money, fame, and status. A certain industry I worked in came to mind. Yeah, it does a lot for these videos because a lot of times we talk about narcissists and exploiters and manipulators, and what a better example. So these type of people an INFJ can't stand. That in my experience, these will be the first type of people we can't stand that we will quick draw to call out because, and I'm sure it's different for all INFJs, these types of people I'm mentioning. Some INFJs are going to dislike certain types more than the others. This is my number one. This has always been, the type of person I cannot stand the most. And, it really pisses me off when people defend them. Just because you exploit and manipulate somebody and then throw money at them doesn't make it okay. But from what I've seen amongst baby boomers, that does make it okay. And yes, even baby boomer women, as long as the exploiter was a baby boomer. So, just to sidebar that example. So, for a lot of people I know where I grew up, say to a 70-year-old woman, it would be okay if a 70-year-old man sexually assaults a 20-year-old woman as long as said 70-year-old man gives her money because he is a baby boomer. Now, if that man was, say, 40 instead of 20, that would, then it would be wrong. You see what I'm saying? That's baby boomer supremacism. I'm just, it's a sidebar. But yes, people who exploit, manipulate others and, will do whatever, because to them there's nothing they won't do for money, including exploiting, sexually assaulting, and abusing people. Those people, to me, are the worst. They cannot be trusted. INFJs can see right through them, and it is our duty to call them out and show the world who they really are. All right, another big one is, nosy neighbors, like the nosy neighbors that play the whole keeping up with the Joneses thing, always looking to see, count your possessions, see what you have, always gossiping. The type that never left high school, and they'll probably talk about their high school days a lot and how they were the most popular, blah, 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 blah. But everything's about gossip and rumors with them, and they don't give a shit about truth. They just, they just love the drama and stuff. These people are essentially, the tabloid vultures for regular people. Yeah. So basically tabloid journalists who didn't have, you know, enough nepotism and cronyism to actually become people who write for tabloids. Another big one is those who seek attention all the time and for no reason. People who want attention for attention's sake. They just want to be, in the spotlight all the time. And just for the sake of being in the spotlight, like they'll try to steal the spotlight from someone going through like a genuine crisis just because they always feel they need to be the center of attention because they're so great and everybody else is just honored to be in their entourage. Yeah, we all know that type too. This type of people an INFJ can't understand because, or stand to be around because as INFJs, while we can handle being in the spotlight for periods of time, we need to have a purpose for doing it. INFJs, as I've said in other videos, hate attention for attention's sake. If we're going to be the center of attention, surely there's somebody we want to call out, some type of double standard we want to destroy, and we want to chip away at the status quo. Hey, look at me for what I'm saying. Don't look at me just for being me. Leave me alone. So, like me doing these videos. Why I don't have an Instagram. I'm not like, hey, look at me for being me. So, and finally, I'll end with the most obvious one, which I've obviously talked about a bunch, so I'm not going to go into it. Narcissists, of course. We see right through them. They hate us. I've done videos on why narcissists target INFJs and ENFJs. But yes, narcissists absolutely despise particularly INFJ men because they know, we can see right through them. And of course, it is in the back of their mind that, we might challenge them to a physical confrontation. So that's that added bit of danger they have with us. But some of them, are like, oh, those guys are myths. There's like 4 of them in the whole world. I don't got to worry about that. And then they meet one and it all comes crumbling down. So keep this in mind. These are, I think, 6 types of people that INFJs can't stand, and we do our best to try to avoid them when we are around them and they are doing something to exploit or manipulate others. We will call them out sometimes when not only most people won't, but when nobody else will. And that's when an INFJ knows they have to call somebody out if it needs to be done. And everybody else is like, oh, but he's rich and, she'll get over it. He'll get money. It's like, all right, spotlight time. Put them on the spotlight. Remember when dealing with these people to trust your intuition and see them as who they really are. And remember, don't sell out your integrity no matter what any of these type of people are offering you, because A, it'll most likely be a lie, or B, and this is the best case scenario for dealing with people like that, it'll be a Faustian bargain.